All right, so admittedly, Assassin's Creed is a franchise that I have not touched in a really long time. Ironically, I used to really love these games long before I joined Twitch, long before I thought about content creation. I'd come home from work. At this time, I probably had my first child was, probably about a toddler. And my wife even was remarking the other day about how she could recall when I would actually play these games because she enjoyed watching them because all the cutscenes were really good and stuff, and the stories were pretty great. And I stopped. Once I got to Unity, I finished the game. I was bored out of my mind, but I made myself finish it, and I was like, I'm done. The series, in my opinion, after Desmond, after Ezio, even after like Assassin's Creed 3 and the Native American character, which was still pretty fun. The game was still pretty great. Black Flag was awesome. Once I got to Unity, I was just burned out. So I never touched the Odyssey one. I never touched Valhalla. But Valhalla definitely did something to set itself apart from the other games in the franchise by trying to appease the modern audience by creating the character gender option, so you can play the same character as the male or female version of it without really impacting the story too much, which I think is fine if you want to have like an easy, lame, way of having, the gender option be there for people who really, really care about being a man or a woman. I find it to be kind of cringe because, let's be honest, there were not female Viking warriors. Now, you can say, well, the Assassin's Creed games are not supposed to be historically accurate. They are more of a interpretive fantasy history, and that's fine. If that's where you're going to go with that, then I can accept that as an answer. It doesn't change the fact that Vikings were real people, and there were not female warriors among them, typically. I mean, you can always say that there's the outliers, fine. But it just never would have made sense in Viking culture to have female warriors. It was not that. It was kind of like the Prey movie in the Predator series, where they had the female Comanche hunter-gatherer, group of people, where the woman wanted to be a warrior and didn't want to be a gatherer and make medicines and stuff. It's just cringe. It's stupid. But again, this game was designed by Ubisoft to appeal to a certain audience. And you can see as the fact that they got nominated for a GLAAD award back in 2021. And if you're not sure who GLAAD is the organization that basically they represent anything LGBTQ in the media. And so they want to see more representation. You can see by the games that they nominated just last year alone. Baldur's Gate, you had this one here, Overwatch 2, which has got a lot of wokeness recently interjected into it in the last couple of years. Thirsty Suitors, Too Hot to Handle. I mean, you go back to the 2021 nominations. Last of Us Part 2 was the winner. You had Hades on here as a nominee. You had Immortals Phoenix Rising as a nominee. Games that definitely had either a female or gay representation, whatever. That's just how these people roll. Now today we have this announcement that the Assassin's Creed game that's going to be set in Japan, it was named Code Red or Red, whatever the secretive, name was that they were using for it. Now it's Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it's going to be set in Japan, much like we already knew about. That's not like anything shocking. They did actually release the release dates accidentally, which really is not a good thing because remember, a lot of these big studios in the last few years have had to push back these release dates by 6 months to a year. So if this was just like a tentative release date and they didn't plan on necessarily making this a hard release date, this could be really embarrassing for them if they have to postpone it 6 months to another year. That could be really bad for them. That being said, there's been rumors about this game up until now, not really anything confirmed, but now it is seeming to be confirmed both by Endymion on on Twitter, what the heck, and Insider Gaming, saying that essentially Assassin's Creed Red, or Shadows, is going to feature the first assassin that Assassin's Creed Red to feature first assassin that actually existed? This is a weird headline. It's supposed to say black assassin or samurai. That is really strange. All right, so this article says, Insider Gaming has learned that the Assassin's Creed Red Samurai will be based on the real-life African samurai called Yasuke. Now, I want to stop right there because there's a lot of people who have different opinions on whether or not he was a legitimate samurai. What people can put together is he was a sword bearer and he was a retainer for a samurai. But honestly, I don't know that he himself truly was a full-fledged samurai. Either way, he did exist. He was in Japan for about 15 months as far as they can tell. And so from there, they're just going to embellish where they want to. The article says, while Yasuke's story is pitched mostly in fiction, he was historically a real person that existed, which makes him the first Assassin's Creed protagonist to fit that description. Theories of Yasuke being featured in Assassin's Creed Red first appeared following our exclusive report earlier this year, and it's true that really, if you Google this online, Insider Gaming is the only place that really has this story going back to, I think, November of the last year, which confirmed that the game will have 2 playable characters. Speaking with sources, Insider Gaming understands that the male character is certainly Yasuke, but his story has been rewritten to align with the game's story and direction. Okay, so basically, they're going to take, the existence of this person and cater his story to what they want to fit a certain narrative for the game. And of course, now you have the other person that's a playable character in the game is apparently a female protagonist named Naoi or Naui, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, who is on a quest for revenge following the death of her father. Insider Gaming can corroborate this information with Naoi's full name currently being called Naoi Fujibayashi, the daughter of the legendary real-life Fujibayashi Nagato, who is considered to be one of the greatest, the 3 greatest Iga Jonin. It says in October 2023, first image of Naoi leaked online via the LinkedIn profile of senior. I didn't even know about this. Let's take a look at this here. Okay, so this must be her in the game. All right, so basically they've nailed it down to where there's the black samurai, not samurai, and the female seeking revenge for the death of her father. So in case you're not really paying attention, what you have here is a long history and a recent history where you have this woke leftist mindset that anything Asian is white adjacent. And so they're going to make a Japanese game without a Japanese male protagonist, but you can play a woman instead. So you'll have the black man in Japan as the samurai, and you have the female Japanese warrior. But again, as long as she's female and not a Japanese male or a straight white male, it's fine. Apparently that makes it okay. That makes it modern. And you can even see, that they try to paint this picture of Yasuke as a real samurai, despite the fact that there's very little known about him, other than he existed. He went to Japan with, I believe it was with the Portuguese that were traveling there at the time. One of these warlords, took to liking him because he's like, this guy looks kind of cool. He's 6'2", he's big and buff. I can use him as a bodyguard. They'd never seen somebody with dark skin before, so first they tried to rub it off his skin to see if it would come off. Long story short, once this guy's master died, killed himself, he fled to the master's son, who then killed himself also, and then Yasuke offered up his sword to the person that had beat him, and the guy just banished him essentially because it was a dishonor for samurai to not disembowel themselves. So again, I don't understand why this is such a big deal. Yeah, it's kind of a cool story, but not something I would try to build up an entire franchise around or try to revitalize a franchise with. But again, that's just Ubisoft. Ubisoft, who recently has been crapping out one awful game after another. I don't even know if anybody's currently playing Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Prince of Persia: Lost Crown has been roasted online for this horrifyingly awful haircut that they gave the prince. You see games like The Crew Motorfest on their website. The Crew, which they just pulled offline, so even if you bought the game for full price, you can no longer play it. Skull and Bones, the game that completely crapped out after it was released at a, $70 price range on the low end for a quadruple A title. They got X Defiant coming out, which I don't think anyone's even going to play. And of course, don't forget about Star Wars Outlaws, which we have had a really good time talking about and roasting on this channel, among many other channels. But then the icing on the cake here. And Demion points out on Twitter that the Assassin's Creed Shadow is getting officially announced on May 15th. Allegedly, it's a Sweet Baby Inc. product and will feature 2 playable characters. So again, don't forget about Sweet Baby Inc. and their involvement with Ubisoft. Kim Belair, CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., is one of these people that came up through the ranks in Ubisoft. That's where she cut her teeth, where she got her start. And Ubisoft and Sweet Baby Inc. have been connected through a lot of this crap. Just don't even forget about their involvement recently with Suicide Squad, which completely tanked the game and cost Warner Brothers $200 million. But it's not just that. Sweet Baby Inc. has been involved in several other games like Shadow Gambit, another one that shut down the studio behind it. They were involved in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, over at Ubisoft. And of course, that is why organizations like GLAAD were rushing to try to give it praise and awards and, all this admonition. ZOW, which is dead on arrival, nobody's even playing this game now. The saddest part is that they had all these options for these most famous Japanese samurai that have actually existed. And of course, if you see on this list, you're going to see Yasuke on here. But I think that that's more of a significance of it was something that had never happened in Japan before. So for them, it was really interesting. The reality is this is not a guy who had any major effect on Japanese history, Japanese culture. He did nothing to change the landscape of the country itself. And rather than honor the culture that exists over there and try to choose from a truly significantly badass warrior, of all the ones they had the option to choose from in this game, they decided to do the modernized thing and say, hey, let's avoid anything culturally relevant, which is, I thought, Sweet Baby Ink's job is to provide cultural relevancy. Let's just go with the black guy and the female, strong female woman, strong, warrior woman, basically. And we'll just focus on Yasuke instead of going for an actual badass samurai that exists in Japanese culture. But I'm going to leave it right there. You guys tell me what you think about all this. Make sure to check out Meta PCs. Use the link down below, and I will catch you later. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.